Good day. Today we are doing events after the reporting period that can be found in IAS 10. The need for IAS 10 is financial statements are prepared by management for a specific period, or let's just go. Are prepared by management for a specific period. That means for the financial year. That could be from 1 January to 31st of December. But at 31 December, the financial statements are still not authorized for issue. This means that the authorization only happens after the 31st of December. So the problem is your financial statements doesn't get authorized at the 31st of December. It only gets authorized after 31st of December. So that means what if something happens between the 31st of December and the approval date? Will it affect the financial statement, or do we only disclose a note? And an example is, for example, your financial year is from 1st of January 2010 till the 31st of December 2010, but your financial statements only get authorized on the 3rd or at 1 March. Between the 1st of January and the 1st of March, there is a time period where something can happen. And that is why there is a need for IAS 10 that tells us what to do with the events that happens between those months, after the year end and the time where it gets authorized. Just the background, provisions, etc. deals with uncertainty, but IAS 10 deals with certainty. That means IAS 10 deals with events that happened. You are sure it happened. It's not an uncertainty, or you are sure it happened because it has happened. And just on the timeline, you can see there's a period or a space between year end and authorization, and that is where IAS 10 comes in. The objective of IAS 10 is, when should financial statements be adjusted for events after the reporting period? What should be disclosed about it? The date when the financial statements are authorized for issue, and the events that happened after the reporting period. Remember, the reporting period is your financial year. And then the definitions, that is very important. Then events after the reporting period is events that are favorable and unfavorable that occur between the end of the reporting period and the date when the financial statements are authorized for issue. And then the end of the reporting period is the financial year end date. Then you have two types of events. If you look in IAS 10, the first one, that is those that provide evidence of conditions that existed at the end of the reporting period. That is the first one, adjusting events. That means that some of the conditions already existed at the end of the reporting period. And then the other type is the non-adjusting events. That is events or conditions that arose after the reporting period. That means at the end of the reporting period, it did not exist. And then just authorized for issue, just the definition thereof, is the date of issue to shareholders, or authorized for issue and not approval date by shareholders. This just means that the financial statements are authorized to give to the public or to issue it, and not the approval date where shareholders say it's fine. It's when it is authorized. And then in paragraph 5 of IAS 10, you can see an example. And then, if an entity required to issue financial statements to a supervisory board made up of only non-executives, then date management authorizes them for issue to supervisory board. And then paragraph 6. And then examples of adjusting events. Remember, adjusting events are events or conditions that already existed at the end of the reporting period. Examples thereof is a verdict of a court case that confirms a liability at year end. For example, on year end you had a liability or you had a court case against you, but you did not know what the verdict is. So you know you are going to pay, but you just don't know when or how much. And then after the reporting period, the verdict becomes available, and then it's an adjusting event because those conditions already existed at year end. Then a doubtful debtor is declared bankrupt. Remember, you have a provision for doubtful debts. And what is it? So you expect that some debtors can't repay you. So it already existed at year end. So after year end, if they become bankrupt, it is conditions that existed on year end or at year end. Then detection of errors or fraud that confirms that the financial statements were incorrect at year end. And then sale of inventory after year end that confirms net NRV at year end. Remember, your NRV is the expected selling price that you are going to get for the inventory. So if you sell it after year end, you will know what you will sell it for in the future. And then examples of non-adjusting events is a decline in market value of investment after year end, stock damage in fire after year end. Remember, you did not know that a fire will break out after year end. And then debtors experience financial difficulties after year end, new business combinations, great purchase of assets, and then IAS 33 and paragraph 64. That paragraph would have been dealt with you in the IAS 33 lecture. It is just when you have a capitalization or a rights issue at less than fair value, it is also an adjusting event in terms of IAS 33 and not IAS 10. But that was dealt with you in the IAS 33 lecture. And then I also said the fact that the stock investment data existed at year end is not an indication that it is an adjusting event, because that condition did not exist at year end. And then also non-adjusting events. I told you this is examples of non-adjusting events. And then the accounting treatment for adjusting events. Remember, you recognize it, you change the amount in the financial statements, you adjust adjustment of assets, and you write a journal. And remember, facts that does not have to be known at year end, but the conditions are known. For example, the condition is known that some debtors, that you have doubtful debtors, that condition exists on year end, but you don't know when they go bankrupt. And when they go bankrupt after the year end, it is an event that happened with conditions existed on year end, because you knew the condition existed that it was a doubtful debtor. And then a non-adjusting event is you do no recognition. That means no adjustment to assets or liabilities or income. It is only disclosed in the note. And what needs to be disclosed in the note? The nature of the events, the financial effect, and the statement of financial position impact. Statement of financial impact if it cannot be determined. And then it shows no relations to conditions at year end. So none of those conditions existed at year end. For example, if your inventory burned down after year end, that condition did not exist at year end. You did not know that the fire or that your inventory will be burned down in a fire. So you will only disclose it in a note saying, for example, your inventory was damaged or you lost inventory in a fire. The financial effect that you will get for the insurance claim probably and the financial effect is 60,000 Rand of loss, for example. And then another subdivision in IAS 10. IAS 10 is where they talk about adjusting events or non-adjusting events, and they also talk about dividends. And dividends is specifically related to final dividend declared after year end before authorized for issue. It is not a present obligation, so it's not a liability at year end, and it is also a non-adjusting event. because you only declared it after year end, so you did not have a liability at year end. So you only disclose it, but the disclosure is in terms of IAS 1. That is, you disclose the amount of dividend, the dividend per share, and any cumulative preferential shares dividend recognized. So if, for example, you have preference shares and you have ordinary shares, if you declare an ordinary share, most probably you would have declared also a preference share. So remember, if the company declares a final dividend after year end but before the authorization or the authorized for issue, it is a non-adjusting event. You only disclose it in the notes, because at year end you did not have a liability and you have no present obligation to pay it. And then also IAS 10 deals also with a going concern. For this section in IAS 10, it tells us that management determines after year end that it intends to liquidate or it intends to cease trading, or they have no other realistic alternative to do so. And that means then IAS 10 tells you you shall not prepare the financial statements on a going concern basis. And why do they tell you? They say the going concern basis is no longer appropriate, and the effect is so pervasive that these standards require a fundamental change in the basis of accounting rather than an adjustment to the amounts recognized within the original basis. And then in terms of IAS 1, you will disclose certain things. Remember, if a company does not intend to trade or it has no alternative to do so, the financial statements, the user of the financial statements needs to see it, and that's why they say it requires a fundamental change in the basis of accounting rather than just an adjustment to the amounts. Because you set up your financial statements to think that you are going on in the future as a business, as a going concern. But now you are not. So now you can't prepare your financial statements on the basis that you are going as a going concern in the future, because you're not. You're going to liquidate or you're going to cease trading. And that is the end.